Hello and welcome to part 7 of my Windows Server 2025 training series. Today we're going to be covering DHCP. Some of you may be wondering, what exactly is DHCP? So a quick explanation is it stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and the primary purpose is to ensure that devices can automatically be assigned an IP address without having to set one statically. So just think about how miserable your life would be if at your place of work or your business you had to manually assign an IP address to every single device that you have. It's just not feasible. So DHCP helps us with that. But it also ensures that we don't have any conflicting addresses whenever these addresses are signed out. And it also gives us an easy to use management interface. But an important thing to note with DHCP is you also have to consider DHCP relay. So DHCP relaying allows devices that are outside of your DHCP server subnet to request an address. When a DHCP request is sent out, this is going to be a broadcast message and it's limited to a single subnet. DHCP relay allows the messages to be forwarded outside of the subnet requesting it to the server that exists on the subnet that has the DHCP services running. What is our lab going to look like today? We're actually going to create a new VM to host our DHCP service. We're going to give it a name of gt-util. The reason we're giving it that name is this is essentially going to be our utility server, and we're going to be installing some more roles and services on it in the future. Our IP address is the 192.168.99.253. We're going to install the DHCP role on our VM, create some DHCP scopes. We're going to demonstrate a DHCP relay conceptually. In the next lesson, we're going to install a Windows 11 VM and have it on a separate subnet outside of that DHCP server, just so you can see how it works. And finally, we're going to cover DHCP reservations and their purpose. So let's go ahead and get into our lab. To save us some time, I've already installed Server 2025, installed updates, renamed, and domain joined this server. So we'll do a quick spot check just to ensure our settings are correct. So we see we have 4 gigs of RAM, that's plenty currently. 2 virtual processors, we're connected to our default vSwitch, and we're not using VLAN identification to utilize that other subnet. We're using our main.99. So let's connect in, and we'll double check our IP settings. All right, perfect. So we have the correct IP address, and we have our DNS servers pointed to our 2 domain controllers, which is what we want. Now that we have our network and VM settings verified, let's go ahead and close out of this command prompt. Let's open the Server Manager. And we're going to go to Manage, Add Roles and Features. Next and next. Next again. And now we're going to see DHCP Server. And we're going to include the management tools selected by default. And we're going to next and next. Gives us some general best practice guidelines and some considerations before we install. We're going to click next and restart the destination server automatically if required. And let's go ahead and install. And as soon as this is finished, we'll pick right back up. All right, we are now back with our role installed. So we're just going to click complete DHCP configuration. So we're going to give it a quick read. We're just going to create the following security groups to delegate DHCP server administration. So we're going to have administrators and users. And it's going to authorize DHCP server on the target computer. We're going to use our default credentials. Since we know we're a domain admin, this should go right up. And it's done. All right, so we can close out of that. And let's go ahead and open up our DHCP management interface. And we're going to pin this right to the taskbar for easy access. Let's go ahead and maximize this. And you'll see up top, you can add a server, you can manage authorized servers. Whenever you right click up top on the actual DHCP icon here. You can also click on the server, you can add, remove bindings, authorize, perform a backup and restoration. You can also stop and restart this service. So if we go to IPv4, we're going to see it's currently disabled. So first thing we're going to look at is we're going to go to server options. And we're going to go to name servers. We're going to enable. And here we're going to go ahead and enter our domain controller IP addresses. We're going to add 192.168.99.200. And we're going to add our secondary. All right, beautiful. We're going to apply. So we see our name servers are defined. We're going to go ahead and create a new scope. We're going to click next. We're going to call this default LAN. We're going to call this where default servers and MISC workstations live. So our starting address is going to be 192.168.99. Then we're going to do 20 to 40. And we do want a /24 subnet, so we're going to leave that as is. So exclusions, we're going to leave this totally blank for now. And duration for the scope leases, let's go ahead and give this 7 days to match a week. And let's look at our DHCP options now that we have this configured. The router is going to be our default gateway for the subnet, which is going to be 99.1. We do want the domain to be listed here, so 80.greentech.org. Next. So Win server, we don't really need anything here. We're going to click next. We're going to say, yes, I want to activate this scope now. And we're going to finish. And what's interesting is we do have a notification saying that this server needs to be authorized. This probably is a glitch. Let's go ahead and authorize that it's already present. So if that happens, let's go ahead and just restart the service. And it should load and understand that it's authorized. All right, perfect. And there it is. So we cleared out that error. We have our default LAN scope, and we're going to create one more scope for our other subnet. Let's go ahead and right click our IPv4. We're going to do new scope. And we're going to call this extended VM network. And next, we're going to follow that same DHCP scope, except we're going to do 106, and we're going to do 20 to 40. We're going to do next. We're going to skip that. Lease duration, let's do 7 days. And yes, I want to configure the options now. So our router is going to be the default gateway for that subnet, just like before. We're going to do next. And of course, we want it to know how to reach the domain. So it's going to be the parent domain for DNS name resolution. Great. Win servers, we're going to leave those blank, and we're going to click next, and we're going to activate this scope now. All right, now we have both of our scopes created. With those wrapped up, let's go ahead and create a reservation. So we can just create a test reservation under the 99.0 subnet. And we're going to right click, we're going to do new reservation. And we're going to call this just test reservation. And IP address, this can be anything inside of that subnet. Let's just do, for the heck of it, let's just do 25. And for MAC address, we can just enter in a bogus one. And we're going to call this is a test reservation for the description. Supported types, we're just going to say DHCP. We're going to close. We had our MAC address in the correct format, so that went right through. So if someone with that MAC address requested a DHCP reservation, they would return this address. And what's pretty cool with Windows Server DHCP is if we go to address leases, it'll also show up here, and it'll tell you that it's currently inactive, so no one has requested it yet. And you can also see that unique ID, in this case the MAC address. Now we're going to get into DHCP relay configuration. This is going to be very light and a short example, but it's a little bit of bonus knowledge. It's very helpful to know. All right, so in my home lab instance, I'm actually using Ubiquiti. So I have a cloud gateway here, and this is currently what all my network is running through. So you'll see with this default here, that's going to match up to our primary subnet for our virtual machines. So what we're going to do is we're going to click into this. And we're going to verify it's set to DHCP relay. So I set this a little earlier just to have it pre-configured. And we see that I have it set to where it's going to use 192.168.99.253. So it's going to match our new DHCP server. Now we're going to go back and we're also going to check our extended VM network. We see it's set to DHCP server. We're just going to click DHCP relay. In the case of Ubiquiti, all of the relay settings are shared amongst all networks. So we're going to apply changes. And that's pretty much it, you guys. We're going to conclude this lesson. In the next one, we're going to build a Windows 11 VM and verify that our DHCP settings are working through that relay. But I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope this has been informative. I'll catch you next time.